One of the worst moments watching basketball is when the play stops and the game doesn't even matter anymore. Everyone knows something awful just happened. Of all the stars who have gone down recently, none was worse than Derrick Rose. I mean, sure, it was just an ACL, there have been worse injuries, but we haven't seen an MVP's entire career get taken from him. The most electric player of his generation never made another All-Star game and was reduced to a role player. He's the biggest what if in recent NBA history. What if Derrick Rose never got injured? Well, it looks like Ja Morant might actually be the answer. And I'm not the first person to compare Ja Morant to Derrick Rose. Paul George said he had flashbacks to guarding D Rose as a rookie, but Ja immediately shot that down. He said, quote, "There can never be another Derrick Rose." And maybe Ja's just being respectful, but I'm sorry, he's wrong. The similarities are actually scary. Now, we will compare their games in a bit, but their backstories match too. They're both from, crazy families. Rose is from the south side of Chicago. His three brothers were so protective, they drove him to and from school, knew who all of his friends were, and even spied on him when he went out. Ja Morant's dad was just as crazy about his son's success. He built a full training facility in their backyard and worked Ja out 24/7. Ja's actually said his dad was his first hater because of how harsh the treatment could be. Both guys were studs in college. Derrick Rose took a pretty average Memphis team all the way to the national title game. Ja put Little Murray State on the map by breaking national records. The way they were different though in their backstory was the hype before college. We all know that D Rose is one of the most popular players of all time, but it's been that way since he was a kid. He went to Simeon High School, which is legendary for talent, but Rose stood out. He led back-to-back state championships with a title-winning shot as a junior. Rose played at Madison Square Garden, in the McDonald's All-American game. Ja was completely unknown. He put up big numbers in high school and AAU, but he had to force his way into the spotlight. He went from completely off the radar to the #2 overall pick in 2 seasons. Look at their Rookie of the Year stats in the NBA. Ja won with about 18 points, 7 assists, 4 boards, and 1 steal a game. Very similar to D Rose's Rookie of the Year. But of course, the comparisons will be insane if Ja wins MVP in his 3rd season just like D Rose. And no, he will not be younger than Derrick Rose was because of that extra year in college. Ja would actually be 52 days older, but it could happen. Ja started this season on fire, but people quickly forgot about him once the Warriors were better than expected. Stephen Curry led the Dubs to first place while breaking Ray Allen's 3-point record. But have you seen Steph lately? Not only did Ja lead the Grizzlies over the Warriors 2 times this year, but Steph's shot just isn't the same. 38% from downtown, by far his worst healthy season ever. Now, I'm not saying that Steph isn't still an MVP candidate. Obviously he is, but Ja should be up there. I mean, he should be the West starter in the backcourt in the All-Star game with Steph. His stats are elite, 25 points, about 7 assists, the same 3-point percentage as Steph. The highlight plays are still there, just like when he was a rookie, but they're better than ever. This block on Avery Bradley is straight up bonkers. However, this season, the highlights are combined with winning. The Grizz have won 20 of their last 24 games. Can you believe this tweet from Kirk Goldsberry? They are wrecking the entire league right now. We all know that MVPs are usually taken from a top 3 seed. Well, if the Grizz keep this up, there is a world where they finish #1 in the West. Derrick Rose did that in his 3rd season too. The Bulls went from a 500 team to the best record in the NBA. Now, let's compare Ja and Derrick Rose on the court to see if this comparison is even fair. Prime D Rose, 6'2", Ja is 6'3". Their other numbers look like this. They are extremely similar all the way down to their usage rate. Ja has a better true shooting percentage, which takes into account field goal percentage plus your free throws and your 3-point shots. They both play point guard with an insane speed. If you give either guy daylight, he will go straight downhill no matter how many players are in the paint. Watch the crafty up and under with contact at the rim that they both have. Derrick Rose doesn't actually get enough credit for his dunk. Ja has better hops, sure, but both guys would throw it down. If the driving lane isn't there, both players are really good at that stop and pop in the mid-range. Another thing that D Rose doesn't get enough credit for is his three-point shot. He once hit 5 of 6 threes in a first quarter against the Jazz. We all know that Ja has added that to his game. In terms of passing, they both use their gravity to find open shooters. Both are smart enough to just dump it off if there's a better shot for a teammate at the rim. But honestly, I like Ja better as a playmaker. He is so much stronger with some of those skip passes he makes across the court. Ja actually has a court awareness like Magic Johnson. He takes like a mental snapshot and knows where his teammates are at all times. He will make crazy, insane passes almost no one else can. And that's not the only difference. Derrick Rose loved to get low and just kind of go straight to the hoop every time. He drew a lot of contact there too, which wasn't always good for his body. Ja can drive straight to the rim, but he also likes to use that stop and start a lot more. He also uses his handle more effectively. And actually, the more I dug into this, the more I started thinking that Ja is actually better than prime D Rose. I know a lot of people are gonna laugh at that, but hear me out. Ja had a more developed overall game than Rose had in his third season. This probing move to the rim is something that Derrick Rose didn't develop until late in his career. Ja is more efficient from 2 and from 3 despite taking the same number of shots. If you're a fan of advanced stats, Ja's got a higher PER than Derrick Rose did. In fact, people hate on Derrick Rose's MVP season, saying that LeBron and Dwight Howard were better, and PER agrees. However, the big question obviously is, can Ja Morant become what Derrick Rose never could? Well, let's put away the MVPs because we already talked about that as a possibility. What about championships? People say you cannot win with a flashy point guard as your best player. They're wrong, but it is really hard. The last true point guard to win Finals MVP was Tony Parker in 2007. Before that, it was Chauncey Billups in 04, then Isaiah Thomas in 1990. In this era, it's even tougher because a forward has won the last 11 years. So it really comes down to Ja's teammates. They do have depth, shooting, defense, size. Jaren Jackson Jr. and Desmond Bane are great players, but overall, this current squad is just too young to contend this season. They have to mature, which they will eventually, but Memphis has never signed a star free agent. Ja's gonna need more help, but the good news is his front office is one of the best in the league. As long as Ja Morant can stay healthy, and that is a big if, I think he could have an even better career than prime D Rose could have had. And speaking of trades, what is Memphis going to do at the trade deadline? Are they really going to even be involved? Well, the trade deadline is February 10th, and I did a complete league breakdown right here. Check it out.